But at the same time, we also have many employers, and myself, I'm in my think tank, we do recruit many young people to work on different projects. We are still having challenges in assessing, in having access to talents in the sector, to qualified human resources in the agricultural sector. And it is the same thing for, even if you are in the development sector or you are in the agribusiness sector, many employers complain that they don't have talents, qualified young people that can help them develop their businesses. So when we compared those two realities, we say, look, in one part you have people who want a job, but because they don't have the job in the agricultural sector, they start their own business. On the other side, we have people who want people with the qualification, with the skills that will help them develop their businesses. So we then reframe our value proposition around that linkage between those who are looking for jobs in the agricultural sectors and the agribusinesses who are offering decent jobs in the sector. So we end up proposing that we will be that linkage between the two stakeholders, and then we'll contribute to the agricultural sector by promoting decent job instead of entrepreneurship. So that was a major shift for us. We started by promoting entrepreneurship, but we end up promoting paid employment. And I can tell you that we are not, there are not many doing what we are doing. Is actually weird that we are promoting paid employment when everyone is promoting entrepreneurship. But as I told you, many of the young people, they are in entrepreneurship just because they don't find a very nice, a better alternative. So framing and developing a very good value proposition that will demonstrate our value addition was, for me, the biggest challenges the biggest challenge that we faced. Resources was also a challenge, but I invested my own money in the business, because when you start there, you don't have the connections, you don't have you don't have a lot of money you don't have people who are willing to invest when you are still at the startup phase. So I would not say that finance was the biggest challenge, because once we clarify our value proposition, we managed to raise funding that will help us spend 1 or 2 years improving the value proposition and proposing better services.
Thank you, Fijus. That's also why we hold these master classes as well, or these fireside chats and these meetings open to the public, because it's not only about being an entrepreneur, but entrepreneurship is a mission and it's a day-to-day dedication. And David was saying, I keep trying ever since, because this is a job that some people think it's the easy escape, and it's a daily and a life dedication. And this is why we want other people to have access to people like you to make questions and to know a bit about. So looking and picking up on that, looking at this ecosystem, as we call it, about entrepreneurship, about all the programs that aim to support entrepreneurs, some more located in some areas, some in others, but looking at everything that is out there when you started and now, because we've, just as you said, we've witnessed a boom of programs. What would you say that you still see as the main gaps of this support for young entrepreneurs that are just starting now, that may not have the right resources or don't know to which doors to knock, or where to find support, and maybe there's someone here interfering. I can try to mute it. I will ask Afia for your support because I cannot mute this person. Sorry, if you just joined, there is, I think if you can mute yourself, and then if you want to do a question, you can then unmute yourself, because otherwise we will not be able to hear. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. Mr. Tiku.
You want to make a question now? Okay, let's go.
I don't want to introduce myself.
Okay.
I'm Mr. Tiku Godwin. I'm from Nigeria. I'm into agribusiness.
Thank you.
And I received yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Tico. I will just ask you if you can mute your microphone for now, because the sound is a bit interfering, and then you can put your questions if you'd like. Thank you for joining. I was just
Thank
saying,
you very much.
thank you. I was just saying, David and Frisius, if you could give me briefly, if you could share your insights from what has changed in the past 2 years, 3 years in the ecosystem and entrepreneurial ecosystem in your areas. And also you work with young farmers, you work with entrepreneurs. What you say are the main gaps for entrepreneurs to access quality support when starting adventures? Maybe David, I will ask you to start.
Right. So anyone that is an entrepreneur or starts a vision or starts his own thing, in a way, usually goes through the period of learning to walk and at the same time building the path to walk on. It's simultaneous. It runs concurrently. You're learning to build a path to walk on and walk on at the same time. And one thing I realized is there's a big transition. Looking at 5 years ago, 6 years ago, in 2015, or 14, where I was starting my first farm, the kind of information I had was very little. We've been able to build on that, build competence over time. But then whatever it is, a new guy coming into the system would be new to everything and would not be privy to kind of expertise we have built over the years. So it's important to work with someone that is already running, or someone that has already learned how to work. When I started, there were not a lot of incubators or incubation systems. There's a big change. There's help out there. There's information out there. Due to politics, political parties, when they come to power, try to please the people, form incubation systems, either by way of government or the ministries. I mean, there's a big transition. There's help out there, and geography is not a barrier in the 21st century anymore. So a guy that is elsewhere that had a little education, whether or not there is internet in your place, he should be willing to move out of the place to access internet. For example, learn on YouTube how to do this, to download the PDFs he wants to. Mobile phones are everywhere. So there is help, there are solutions. People are doing amazingly well. And I think the hope has to be with keeping the curiosity alive, wanting to learn more about what is going on. On the other side, there are people that are still struggling. I have made certain mistakes that if I were starting today, I would not make them. But then it's part of my journey, and I embrace it. I respect it. Taught me a lesson, or taught me lessons that going into the future, I will be able to prevent bigger, downfalls or mistakes through that. I once spoke to my mentor in England, and I asked him, Nicholas, what has been your challenge since you began farming? And he looked at me in the face and said, I can't talk about any challenge. I've not seen any. I've not seen any challenge. I was like, wow. Geography matters.
David?
Now, a cake.
Sorry, I think we are losing you. The internet is cutting.
Oh, is it okay now?
Yeah.
If it continues, yes, it is, it is, it is. I don't
Yeah.
know about others. The last thing I heard was you saying about sharing that experience and saying that geography matters. It's true. And then you started another story. That's what.
Yeah, geography really matters. I think there's been a big change. Today, there's a lot of help. There are a lot of advisory services and a lot of apps that are coming out trying to give farmers advice. But then, whatever it is, I think you need a dedicated um, advisor who curtails his solution to what your needs are instead of a one size fits all. I started Agromindset as part of Bridge for Billions early, incubators, for example, in the very early stages, I think 2015, where Bridge for Billions was an idea that was, rolling out. The kind of things I submitted to your incubation are not the things I would do now. And I'm sure you have also kind of mutated your tools now, which are more beneficial to everyone else. But then there is a solution out there. If I were starting today and I knew or I know of Bridge for Billions and there's no internet in my house, I should be willing to move from my place, to go to the library, to go to the school community, to go to a university that has free Wi-Fi, whatever it is. There's help out there. It's no longer a dark continent where you have to stick to your bedroom and, perish in peril. Today there's a solution, and I think everyone can take advantage of whatever is needful or needed. There are summits and conferences going on, but then are young people willing to attend? Are they willing to learn? Even if it's been held, there are many out there who would not want to. I mean, there are people, I don't know how much Bridge for Billions is charging for incubation, but trust me, there are young people who are prototyping or spending money, excuse me to say, unwisely about things when they had ideas they could invest in their own self. But then I maintain my confession that there is help out there currently. They're changing. Yeah.
Thank you, David. Super, super wise advice. Thank you for sharing it. Fridges would like to build on top of that.
Just want to, just to confirm one thing that David had just mentioned. When we compare 5 years ago, I mean, from 2015, 2016 to now, the ecosystem of providing support to entrepreneurship has improved. I would say generally in Africa, but also in my own country, Benin, there is much more support now for young people willing to go into entrepreneurship in general, and also agricultural entrepreneurship for those who are very much interested in the agribusiness sector. There is support. We still have some way to go, but when we compare to 5 years ago, there's much more support today than we used to have. Still, some challenges are continue to be very important for young people. Financing, the financing is there, but it's the type of financing which is not appropriate for someone who is a young person, very new to the sector or very new to business. I will not say that we don't have capital in our banks, in our financing system to provide funding. We do, but the type of financing is not very much in line with the agribusiness sector in general, but also with the young people in particular. But things are changing. We even have in Benin last year, there was a group of senior entrepreneurs who came together to launch an angel investment. It's not a firm, but it's an informal group willing to provide early funding to young people who want to go into entrepreneurship in various sectors, including the agribusiness. Those things were not a reality some years ago, but today young people do have access to them, and it's now on our side to organize ourselves better to assess those options that exist. but in particular in the agricultural sector, one thing that I would like to mention that is still missing in the ecosystem is that we don't have a very good mapping of the agribusiness opportunities that exist. When I look at what people are investing in my own country, you will see there's a kind of difference in terms of the positioning in the agricultural value chain. You see a large number of young people getting into the same production. In my country, for example, you have a very large number of agricultural entrepreneurs trying to produce pineapple juice or juice from every kind of fruit. But are those the real agricultural agribusiness opportunities that exist for them? I'm not sure, because in the think tank that I work in, we conducted a study back in 2018, which revealed that there were so many positioning in the agricultural value chains that the young people were not seizing very much. Let's say, for example, the packaging business opportunity. You won't see many of our young people going into that, but it can become a very nice opportunity, especially today that we have a ban on plastic use in the country, and it's not in Benin only, in many other countries, people are very reluctant now to use plastic. So those are some opportunities that may not be directly linked to the farming itself, going into farm and till the land, not really, but we do not map those opportunities and make them very much available to the young people. And I think that one will be a very good step if we can try to map most of those opportunities and make them available to the young people so that they know what is more profitable than what does it take to start a cassava farm, and if I start a cassava farm, what would I expect from that? With the resources that I have now, should I be more on the processing of the cassava, or my resources for now allow me just to be on the production side, or should I get more involved in the service sector? So we also need that kind of knowledge brokerage to help young people to decide on what segment of the value chain they want to get involved to.
Great, thank you. So we're going into the last, I would say, section of this talk. So David, I was going to ask you, and maybe let's try to just be brief so we can share a couple of questions still between us. We have some interesting conversations going on in the chat too. You were just saying before about, of course, your mistakes. Every entrepreneur learns maybe more from the mistakes than from the success cases and stories. And I know that you raised funds, external investment. What would you say that were the biggest learnings from this process while you were trying to raise the necessary funds, and from the no's, what were the learnings if someone asked you, so what was key that you didn't know when you started? What would you say this was?
Well, it is easier or very easy to overlook the fact that when you get funding, it's people's money. It's not your money. It is easy to, because you talk about the awards. Awards are good. I mean, awards and recognitions are good. It strengthens your bandwidth. It gives people the idea that, oh, this is a trusted guy. He's been on Forbes. Oh, this is a trusted guy. I mean, Forbes 30 under 30 is nothing to me because I know people who are on and are not doing much. But certain awards and recognition comes with, for example, 2 years ago, I was called to Accra, and I was nominated for an award. When my CV got to them, they said, David, there's no point looking for another guy. You're the one we want, for example. So when people see all the recognition, they get to trust you in terms of you're doing something good. That is why you are getting attention from this and that. So once the people trust you and you're able to able to depart or give their money to you, it's very easy to lose sight that it's their money, not your money. If someone gave you $50,000 right now and gives you 3 years or 5 years to pay back because you have a business model, you may think it's your money. Many young people forget that it's a starting business. They go to buy things they don't need, and just rubbishes every money they have made or every savings that they have. I learned it the hard way because I built things I didn't need. I scaled in a shorter period when I had to take my time to build business growth. I built a 10,000 capacity chicken unit in a matter of 6 weeks. I built a warehouse, very sizable warehouse in our locality. Mine is the biggest. I built an office space, a bedroom. I was putting up 3 bedrooms on the farm and stuff like that. And they've not even been used before. Another thing is sometimes we look too far and it's not very good. It's good to cast a vision, but sometimes we look too far. So we make provisions for things we don't need in the short term. We end up wasting potential and wasting money, wasting resources. That is another thing. And all these lessons have come. If someone told me to take my time, I would have thought that the person doesn't wish me well. But now I know that I have to take my time to do certain things. I was just buying lands. We bought a 20-acre land for coconut. We bought 160 plots for something for cocoa. Like we're just making acquisitions. And when you buy a piece of land clearing alone is a big issue. It costs money. Even if it's tractor, you're going to use tractor to till or use human efforts to weed, whatever, it costs money. Seeds, planting, everything costs money. Why would I not focus on one thing, make so much success out of it before I move to the next thing? If everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. And a chain is as strong as its weakest link. You study the chain very well, know its weakest link, and solve challenges.
Okay, thank you. And Fridges, maybe I would ask you on the same on the same note, what about partnerships? Because we have partners who investors give us a loan to breathe, but partners also help us grow and reach the next level. So how do you approach partnerships, or how has this shaped the way you do business?
Yeah, it was actually among the 3 items that I wanted to develop in terms of financing. The first one is that you really need to know what type of financing is appropriate to the stage of the business you have. You don't take loan when you are still starting up. The second point is that you really need to build your capacity in terms of proposal writing, because having a very nice business model, doing well in your business cannot be the same thing as writing it down and to convince someone else. So you really need to build your capacity in terms of proposal writing. And the third item that you actually touched upon is the partnership that you established. You also need to make sure that you know exactly where you are in the ecosystem, what you are good at doing, and what you are not good at doing. And what you are not good at doing, you need to bring other organizations, either businesses or non-profit or public institutions, so that you form a partnership, especially if you want to raise funding. In our particular experience, as we are dealing with connecting young people, young graduates in the agricultural sector with the agricultural jobs that are available in Benin, we had to partner with some key institutions, especially from the public sector. So today we are in a partnership with the National Agency for Employment. We are also in partnership with the University of Abomey Calavi, which is the biggest university in the country. And that kind of partnership improves our image and make us more confident in what we are doing. And that kind of confidence also creates value in terms of how the financial partners look at you. They don't only see that new startup trying to do something different, but they see the new business trying to connect with its ecosystem to advance on its mission. We've been very successful in that in the last year. So yeah, those are the three issues that I wanted to touch upon.
Thank you, Fridges. So I have two more questions, and then I let you go, I promise. I have here from Dimeji, from our participants, and he's asking, what are some of the things you have done to scale your business? Maybe you can choose one or two examples. I believe partnerships may be one of them, but there are others. And he's asking, in complement to this, can your business models be replicated in similar markets, or do you usually do adaptations? So I don't know if one of you wants to jump in specific.
Growth is something that every person that is growing a business should think of. There is a time you think of security, securing your foundation, securing your assets, securing your capital, especially when there are issues of inflation and people are losing their way in business. And there's a time to know when to grow the business when you are having a good demand for what you're doing. I started another company called Villam Hive. Villam is a Latin word that means a workstation. Sorry, I'm a farmer, and Hive is a workstation, as we all know. And I put on my WhatsApp status that we had a deal to export some pineapples. Believe you me, in 48 hours, I had raised over $80,000 on my WhatsApp.
Oh, wow.
Had pledges all over. One guy calls me, David, I have 5,000 pounds. How do I send it to you? Another guy calls me, I have $10,000 in my Wells Fargo account. It's sitting there idle. It's because they had seen you demonstrate some leadership. They had seen you demonstrate an ability to deliver over the period. So they want to work with you. And this has been villamhive.com, VILLAMHIVE.com. And this is something that everyone could do. Poke Money is doing the same model, using people's funds to rear pigs. And not only are they trying to sell the fresh meat, they're going into processing, into bacons, into sausages and stuff like that. Once you have a market, you know the pricing, and you can quantify your inputs, you can look into that. Working with people. There are a lot of people with money, they've not got ideas. And those of us with ideas have not got the money. They need to be a bridge. So we can get their money to work. Once we have their returns of profit, we can share with them and create equity. So there are models that can work. If, for example, I'm to find myself in Nigeria, I'm sure I'm going to carry my brand to Nigeria and tell people that what I'm talking about is doable. Connect with them, whether corporate guys or anything like that, find a piece of land and start doing whatever I'm doing in Ghana. Some things can be transferred across Africa or across the agrarian economy, whether Sierra Leone, Malawi, and Botswana. Those of us in Ghana are struggling for funding. In Botswana, the government said it's going to give young people money for farming. They said they don't want to do farming. So lots of funding out there that's not being utilized. That does not mean I should relocate to Botswana to just get funding. Their climate will not suit what I'm doing now. I have to learn a whole new thing about them, the type of cells they have, and a whole lot of stuff. But then doing a business where you've built trust with people, they understand that they can put in some money. You are raising, let's say, a budget of, let's say, 100K. They can depart or do away with some 10,000K, 10K, which can go a long way to help you meet your budget. I think it's something that we can all do. And again, it is people's money. It is not your money. That is not the time to start buying flashy things and buying an air conditioner for your office and, buying a water dispenser when you can just put water in your bottle and take to work. So there is help out there. This business model works. And if you read Villam Hive, for example, it's just an outlook of what can be done or what is done. But then you will need to sit down to, have you go through some of these things. Yeah.
Thank you. I shared the webs, both your webs and just now Villam Hives too, on the chat. I invite everyone to have a look if you'd like. And Fridges, would you like to add anything?
No, it's okay.
Okay. So I do have a question I'd like to ask. It's also for both of you, because you are involved in different areas. Within your business, you do different things. You tackle the problem with different approaches. You're also involved in developing skills for youth, etc. So, what has been your strategy in maintaining the balance between profit and your for impact mission? Bridges, would you like to start?
Yeah, maybe I'll start. My situation currently is, I mean, David's situation is a bit different from David. I'm sure we as we completely pivot in terms of the business model we started with in 2016. We are now still in the I will say in the test of our new business model. So our main focus now is not yet profit. We will not be making any profit between 2019 and 2022. For the coming two years and a half, we will not be making any profit. But for us, that's not the big problem. The impact we are looking for is very clear, making sure that the young people have access to decent job in the agricultural sector. We were very lucky to have a funding agency from Canada supporting that initial phase of not making any profit. But we do think that after this initial phase, we'll be able to very well calibrate our business value proposition, define our different services, and starting from 2022, we'll be able to start selling services. When we reach that point, when we start selling services, we are an impact-driven company, so the objective will not be to multiply our profits by 10 or by 20. That will not be the focus. But as an impact-driven company, we need to find the balance between the profit and the impact. Our objective is to not to be driven only by grants, but also to raise enough resources from direct revenue, so that we can use that revenue to reinvest in the business and grow along the way. The business market is very huge, and I'm sure that when we reach that point, we'll be clear about how we balance between the profit and the impact.
Thank you, Bridges. That's great insight and experience from many people probably watching this now and later when we share. Thank you. David, would you like to share your experience? You've also been working for a few years now on this. So.
Right. So what I have to say is passion and obsession is what has gotten us this far. But then to keep going forward, it takes profit. It takes not just breaking even. It takes profit to go forward. At the point in 2015, I had about 12 workers. They were all being paid. I had a security guy who was being paid because he watches over the farm. I couldn't have just gone with patching, and I was as a business. I'm not a one-man guy with a computer trying to answer people's questions on how to find a piece of land on the internet. Chickens have got to eat. A bag of maize could move from $20 to $40 in a month. You have to find ways to feed your chickens. There are no excuses. But then profits, I've talked about the various components of our organization. Just last weekend, I was at a conference to speak to young people at an entrepreneurship masterclass. This is impact making. With just the experience I have had, I shared everything in 2 years. Young people were filled with a renewal of hope. They had hungry eyes, desperate for solutions, desperate for answers. That is impact making. I give keynote addresses and travel around trying to. For example, last year I spoke at the aspirant transition in London, that Ghanaians in London that want to move back home, the businesses they could do. I took the agri sector. So there are lots of questions that came on what to do, how to transition, find a piece of land, I could answer. It's all part of impact making. But at the end of the day, when I sit in my room, I should not be crying because the business has got no future. I'm a Christian. Jesus said one thing that, sorry to say this, I mean, no apologies, that was my belief. If I be lifted up, then I can draw all men to myself. If the business booms and it grows, people see you as a light and they run to you for mentorship or for solutions. But if you just look at profit making, now all over the world, like Microsoft, just a few days ago, we had that Amazon guy donates, or was it Tesla, donates so much money to help fight climate change, for example. He's made the money and he's looking into impact. There are some businesses that work concurrently. Like a friend I have, Farmerline, he's trying to get information to farmers at let's say no cost. So he's getting funding to do some of these things. Farmers benefiting from the weather report and the planting of seeds is important. He's making impact. It's not about profit. So he can reach 2 million farmers in a day. So he needs funding. But a guy that is doing business, I have to go for a loan. Nobody will give you cheap money unless I'm able to win the best farmer in my country. And the government will say, I'm giving $100,000 to build this, I'm giving you a house and a car and stuff like that. They are two different things. So you look at your business model and that tells you the routes or the routes to take. We are in business, we have to make profit and we have to declare a profit and spend some money on certain things that we think is beneficial. Years back, we were doing conferences. There are times we organize a conference, speak to about 1,500 young people. There are some videos on YouTube, you could look for it, Agro Summit. We've done the Surviving Up to School conferences. It's all part of impact making. Lots of times we do it and break even. A lot of times we do it and make losses. It's all part of our hunger to have young people's lives touched. And when I started, I said that Agro Mindset was my answer to the call to leadership. For young people, it's a passion to see them discover their own selves or their own selves, not to become the next David Esiama, but then to find their own Fredus and Philip.
Oh, I think we lost David just when he was
Yeah.
finishing. Okay, maybe he'll come back. I think the internet cut. Anyway, yes, I totally agree with what he was saying. We all have an impact. We can just choose the way we do. David, we lost you in the when we were finishing your conclusion. Would you like to just repeat your conclusion?
What was the last thing you had? What was the last thing you had?
No, you were just finishing. You were saying the last sentence. You were just introducing it.
You don't want another show.
No. It was great. It was great. And I was just actually sharing that, of course, it is true. We all have an impact. We can just choose the one we have. And if we are impact ventures and we want to have an impact, we have to choose a model that works and then make us be able to profit out of the impact, the good impact we're doing, so that we can reinvest in the operation and impact more and more. So I don't know if you want to repeat anything that you were just saying in the last 30 seconds. I think we lost you again.
I'm here.
Here you are. Here you are. So, but thank you so much for sharing that insight. I know there are many impact entrepreneurs that are probably also joining today and are figuring out how to do it. So this is super useful advice. I want to be mindful of everyone's time too. I don't want to consume too much. There is a lot of, I appreciate your answering here in the chat too. Thank you so much for that. We will share the presentation and this session. We shared on the chat the website. One thing before we go, I just want to ask you both briefly. So do you ever stop to celebrate? First of all, because I know entrepreneurs tend not to do that. And another thing, so what's next for both of you?
Okay, as for me, no, celebration is not for now. We are still learning a lot, and I think we still have the time to learn more and have a better business model before we can, I can imagine a form of celebration. What's next for us? We are now busy trying to demonstrate our impact-driven business model is something that is working, and we will spend the next 2 years demonstrating that in Benin. But what we are doing is easily scalable in other countries. So very quick after Benin, we'll be likely moving into other countries. But as David mentioned in one of his interventions, you also need to be very good at growth management. So we'll spend more time working in Benin, learning more, failing quickly, so that we can readapt our business model in other countries. But I just want to mention that I'm not sure that we'll go back to the support to the entrepreneurship, because we think support to paid employment is also something that is very critical in the agribusiness sector, and we'll focus on that in the coming years.
Thank you so much, Regis. David,
Right.
do you celebrate?
I do celebrate a lot. Last year, I took a 4-month holiday just to.
Wow.
Yeah, I took a 4-month holiday because I realized I was falling sickly often because of sleepless nights. One time I was asleep at the farm. I just gotten some day-old chicks, and somewhere around 2 a.m. I felt cold. When I opened my eyes, the next thing to see was to rush to the chickens, day-old chicks, to see if they were okay before I could even think of myself. So companies are built in the image of the founder. We are the ones that said, part of society is stuck. We have a solution to it. And I think every founder needs time to recharge his batteries, because it's very difficult to look far or see far when your lights are dim. You can't try to please everyone. You can't try to be master of everything and just, you try to be everywhere. I think founders and entrepreneurs need time for themselves, time to recharge, time to meditate, stuff like that. For that, I have understood that I have to do that. And again, advocacy, we are still doing advocacy, but then not the kind of advocacy where we try to move through every institution, every school, every place where young people gather to get attention. Now you will stay back and let the people that really need us, come to us. If anyone goes to the internet and looks for agri companies in Ghana, I'm sure AgroMindset will come up. The person finds that what we are doing is okay to him and they could align with us, we can move on and, seek some partnerships or have some knowledge, share some knowledge, spill over. So as I said, if everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. Gone are the days we try to do everything. Now we have to look into what gives us money, what help us make more impact, and focus on that rather than trying to be everywhere. Again, I said that a chain is as strong as its weakest link. You have to study a chain to know where the weak link is, and help not to break it. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank you guys so much for participating today, and for everyone who joined. We invited you both because we knew you would share precious insights, because we knew your experience was very, very useful to share with other people. We are very proud to have you both in our community. I want to thank also your truth today, the amount of generosity that you've put in sharing, and for accepting this challenge, and in the insights you shared today. Everyone who's here, explore AgroMindset, explore AgriVest. They're doing an amazing work, and I'm sure that you can learn a lot with their path and their experiences. You have a lot online also on their blogs and media, so you can share. If you have feedback, there's anything you would like to ask, you can also contact us. And I do believe that one of the truths from our ecosystem, whatever this might be in different places, is that we need to help each other and learn from each other. And it's a tough road, and we're only learning from each other. We can do it and not only go far, but better and strong. So this is why we're here. We appreciate you sharing today. I truly hope it was useful for all of you. And thank you so much, David and Regis.
Thank you very much, Alice. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Prince.